O youth, tear upon the core of blasphemy. Follow your prophet, and on evil make a victory. Let our righteousness be a role model to our children, making new generations of believers decently upbringing, with parents as an example. As gems we shape them, fearing only Allah, devoting our lives for Him.
Bismillah, Assalamu alaikum, peace. Welcome to Closing the Gap. I'm your host, Omar Dunlap. We have with us, of course, Sheikh Yusuf Estes. Welcome.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Sheikh, I think there's a very interesting topic today, and it's a big gap between certainty and doubt. And we mean like certainty in that you absolutely trust your Lord, or we can just talk in general terms at first between certainty and doubt, and then towards the end of the show, inshallah, if God wills, we'll start talking about trusting God versus doubt and all that. It's very interesting. So what do you have for our audience on that topic today, inshallah?
Okay, first of all, let's look to the words. Certainty is the opposite of doubt. Right. So this is a good one to try to close the gap between these two things and understand. Or do we need to close a gap? This might be an interesting thing. Maybe we should all have doubt, or maybe we should all have certainty. Maybe there should be certainty on some things and doubt on other things.
Right.
Maybe, because even though they're the opposites, it may not be that the solution is to like close a gap here. Let's look to the Arabic language now to understand this. What is this word doubt? And it's shak.
Shak.
To have doubt on something. Not really sure. So maybe not. Mumkin or la mumkin. And the other word, what is firm belief in something? Do you know the word in Arabic?
Tawakkul. We call it, this is from the religious aspect, though.
Actually, to have a firm belief in something.
Yaqeen.
Yaqeen. Exactly.
Okay.
Firm yaqeen in something.
Right.
This is a word used in Quran as well. Tawakkaltu is to actually trust Allah.
Trust.
Okay,
trust.
tawakkaltu is to have this for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're trusting in Him. But that trust is going to be based on a certainty. Okay? What things, let's go general, what things are we absolutely sure about? Now, if you study philosophy, if you do Philosophy 101 in a university, one of the things they used to do on the first day is try to put doubt in the minds of the students. Have you ever taken philosophy?
I took one philosophy class. That was enough for me.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
On the first day, they want to make you start doubting what you already know. Okay? Like, you're there and I'm here. But exactly where do you stop and where do I start? That was one of the things they talked about. Do you remember that?
No, yeah.
Okay. Another one is, can you prove you exist? How can you prove you exist? Maybe you're really not there. Well, when I listen to that, you know, unfortunately, I'm not the easy guy to deal with on this kind of subject. And I'm just looking at the professor and I'm saying, suppose I walk up and slap your face. Huh? And I could say, well, maybe you're not really there. What are you going to do? You're going to react or no? And the president's like, he's really hot, man. He's mad. How dare you threaten me like that? Hey, well, you're the one who said you don't exist, so what difference does it make?
Right.
How about I just walk out that door over there, you give me an A, and let the whole thing go? Right. By the way, I never did get anywhere with that course. I did not complete it. I do know that there are people who took philosophy classes that were Muslim or Christian, and then they became disbelievers afterwards. So I'm very, very adamant about this subject of knowing what is doubt and what is certainty. There are things in life that are certain. There's a given, with exceptions. There are things in life which are certain, but they have exceptions. So if we took as an example to take a steel ball, a large steel ball, and we carry it up 20 feet in the air on a ladder, wall, whatever, and we drop it. Or let's put it like this, we let go of it. This is my motion. I'm not dropping it. I'm letting go. Why did I say that? Well, if I hold a balloon that's even bigger, but the balloon is full of helium, can I drop it?
No.
No. If now they say you're releasing it to go up. But I'm not the one doing either one. All my action is only to let it go. Right? So, does it fall? If it's a steel ball, what's the logical conclusion?
Yeah, it's going to fall.
What's the chances it will go up?
0.
Not actually.
Really?
No, not really. There are different things that might take place that could cause it not to fall down. For instance, suppose there was an earthquake and everything tilted, it would shift. Suppose that there were some other forces that come into play here. Suppose the ball is magnetic or it's really steel and there's a magnet above it. Then it would go the opposite. So there could be these different conditions existing, yeah? But what's the likelihood that gravity doesn't work anymore? It's pretty slim. Yeah. I'm going to say the ball's going to fall. Now, that's how it is.
Right.
No, we could carry it to another level, though. Let's don't use a steel ball falling 20 feet. Let's use a glass, a water glass, all right? And let's just let it fall about 6 feet on the pavement, concrete pavement. Now, what are the chances that that glass, when I drop it, will not break? Pretty slim, but it might not break.
Right.
But what are the chances that it would split exactly in half? Now, that's pretty slim, but it might happen.
Right.
What are the chances it could divide up in 4 equal pieces?
Again.
Very slim. What are the chances if I dropped enough of these water glasses over and over and over that eventually it would fall down and break into 6 little small tiny glasses? It's possible to what degree out here in mathematics, but in reality it isn't possible.
Right.
Okay, and I'm talking about things that we can say with certainty.
Right.
Now, what is doubt? I seriously doubt that I could drop enough glasses, live long enough to drop glasses to make the thing happen. We talk about the 6 little ones.
Right.
But now let us carry this over to something that's a little bit more practical. Obviously, that was nothing more than an analogy to give us the chance to reflect on some of the more serious topics that really do affect us every day. For instance, we're talking about taking chances. I'm in a hurry to go somewhere, and this is the main road to get there. Now, I know there's a so-called shortcut through a neighborhood, but there's been construction there, things have changed over the years, and I'm not really sure. But I'm really in a hurry. Should I take this so-called shortcut to save a few minutes, or should I step on the gas and just go a little bit faster, taking a chance on being stopped to get a ticket? Or should I go slow and not make my appointment? So now I have a doubt. What do I do?
Well, I would probably step on the gas. That's what I would probably do.
And get a ticket?
I would hope I wouldn't get a ticket.
Well, suppose I take this alternate route and I go this way. And this is really what I'm looking for, alternate routes. Now I get back in there and I find, the construction's worse than it ever was before. A street is blocked off now. Now I have to go back over here and maybe even go back to the main street I was on. Now I feel like, I really lost time. Now I'll step on the gas and get my ticket and add even more time to it. Yeah? Because I wasn't certain. I had these doubts. I didn't know what to do. Now what about the one, though, who can't make the decision? He comes up to this point and he thinks, if I speed, I get a ticket. If I turn over here, I could get lost. If I go at the speed I'm going at right now, I definitely will not be able to make my appointment. I'm going to miss the train, the bus, or whatever. So I don't know what to do, so he just stops. It doesn't do anything. That's a possibility. So all of these things are going to hinge off of how much certainty I had in my action. But for sure, by stopping, I'm not going to make my appointment, am I? That's what's sure. That was a given. The only sure thing was failure. Make sense?
Yeah, subhanAllah, yeah.
All right. Now, when we start talking about having certainty, it means that we have to have certain tests that we can check and rely on. The same way a scientist approaches any particular problem, he must start with what's called a clean slate. You must not start with information on there, or else you're not going to be able to derive a clear picture with certainty. You're basing on what you already have that you're not sure of.
Right.
That has to be taken off. And then we bring what we are sure of. This is what scientists do. This is a proven fact. Now, if I bring something that's not a proven fact, I have to test it until it's sure that this is valid. And then I add that to the formula, and I keep going until I get to my final conclusion. Make sense?
So far, yeah.
Okay.
I'm with you so far.
This process was never really implemented in the history of human beings until the advent of Islam.
SubhanAllah.
Because it was brought about by an imam in a place called Tashkent, Uzbekistan. And his formula that he developed for this is today the basis for scientific formulas around the universe. Everything we do is based on his principles that he taught. Can you guess what his name was?
I have an idea, but I think I'll let you tell the
Imam Bukhari.
Ah, yeah, that's right.
And his work is called the Sahih, which means the authenticated isnad, chain of narrators, back to Prophet Muhammad. Because, peace be upon him, because what he would do is eliminate things by doubt. Anything that had shak, it's out. If there's doubt, it's out. Okay, that's the American expression.
Right.
You got doubt, chicken out. So for sure, this became a foundation for understanding how to get certainty. Because when we look at something, we know for sure this is true, then anything coming out of that would also be true. But if we have a doubt, we'll just leave that out. And this is how he was able to establish the authentication of these hadiths or teachings of Muhammad, peace be upon him. His student, Imam Muslim, is also very famous for learning and applying the same science. It's called a science in Islam. The usul of this is the science of collecting hadith and verifying these chains of narrators. Okay, another student, same time period, same city, Imam Tirmidhi. So we find, if you go back and look, Imam Abu Dawud, you'll find so many of these are influenced by the same teaching in the same exact place. And where is it? Uzbekistan, of all places. And the oldest Quran written, now we know Quran is actually recitation, but the written representation of the recitation of Quran is there in the museum in Tashkent, Uzbekistan. By the way, I haven't been in it, but I flew over it. In one of my trips coming out of India, we passed right over. They said, below us, the captain said, and below us, you'll see the mountain range, the Caucasus Mountain, blah, blah, blah. And he was talking, and he said, oh, in that city down below, that's Tashkent. And I thought, whoa! I was going to ask him, could we stop? But then I thought maybe he'd think I'm hijacking a plane, so I just keep my mouth.
Right. Well, we're going to go to a short break, and we'll be right back, so don't go anywhere. You're watching Closing the Gap.
Fearing only Allah, devoting our lives for Him.
Back to the Prophet. Join Sheikh Ammar in the program Back to the Prophet, wherein he teaches us practical lessons from the Prophet's life and how this can help us to overcome our challenges in the present.
We talk about the life example of the Prophet Muhammad, peace and blessings be upon him, seeking guidance for ourselves. In the early days after the revelation of the Holy Quran, the Muslims were greatly persecuted, so much so that quite a few Muslims had to leave Arabia and migrate to Africa to live among Ahl Kitab, Christian people who followed the gospel of Christ.
ask for Him.
Bismillah, welcome back to Closing the Gap. I'm your host, Omar Dunlap. We have with us Sheikh Yusuf Estes. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Sheikh, today we're discussing the gap between certainty and doubt. And I think we've defined that in the first half of the episode, and now I want to move it more into the direction of religion. So I was wondering if you could elaborate on that for us.
Okay. When we talk about doubt, it's usually because there's not enough evidence to support it. But there is something else inside of a human being. Even when there's evidence in front of us, if we don't want the obvious conclusion, then we put something over it and we call it doubt. I have a doubt in this. It's not really a doubt. It's that you don't really want to do it. You don't want that to be the conclusion. This is called prejudging or prejudice. And that's where the real problem comes in. Because we can do tests on a lot of information and verify this is true and this is false. But then when we begin to see that enough of these conclusions will lead to a bigger conclusion and prove beyond a shadow of a doubt there really is God. There really is an entity out there that's creating all of this and making this happen. I don't want to believe that. So I'm going to start denying the clear things in front of me. I'm not going to accept that. I'll start thinking of excuses to put doubt in other people's mind so they will see that I'm justified in my doubt, which is not doubt, it's rejection. So one who has rejection of what's clearly fact, he's not a doubter, he's kafir. Because this word in Arabic language does not mean a disbeliever. It means one who is lying about what is true right in front of them. And it's taken from a word in Arabic that actually means farmer. Yeah, because the farmer digs the ground and puts the seeds in the ground, and then what does he do next? Covers. And the word cover in English comes from the word kafir, to cover the ground. Now the F and the V used to be interchangeable in the Old English language. I don't know if you know that.
Right, yeah.
Coffer. A coffer is from the word kafir. You know a coffer where you keep the money in it?
Ah, right.
Okay, that's from this same word. Now, kafir means they know the truth and they are covering the truth. So that is what is really meant here, not one who doesn't believe, because somebody could be one who has doubt. I have doubt. Does that make me a kafir? No. A doubter, yes. But when evidence is presented in front of you, and you look at it and you still say, well, no, I don't accept that, but it's acceptable evidence.
Right.
Okay, that's when somebody becomes a real kafir. The word kuffar, that's the plural of it, and then to call somebody one is to make takfir. You say this person is a coverer, then you've made takfir on them. It's important to clarify this for our viewers because we hear this word thrown around a lot amongst Muslims even, saying this is kafir, this is a kafir, this is kuffar, they are kuffar, you have to kill them and things like that. And this is not anything from Islam.
Right. So what about certainty? Where does that come into play?
Certainty actually begins in the heart because the heart is clean and ready, like the scientist's notebook. He starts with a clean sheet. So you clean heart and don't have a prejudice in there. Don't say, well, this guy's a white guy, I'm not going to take his word for it. Or this guy is a Chinese guy, I don't listen to Chinese people. No, those are prejudice because you don't know what he's going to say yet.
Right.
So you've already judged it. Whoever looks at this program right now and says, well, that's a white guy talking from America, I don't want to listen to him, you prejudged. No, if you know me and you know stuff what I do and you don't like that, then that's your choice because now you have evidence. But by making a choice before having evidence, prejudging, this is definitely the wrong way. So what will give me certainty is to start with a clean slate. Now bring evidence, and then as it comes in, verify the evidence that you have, and then what it points to will also be true. So if I'm able to ascertain that this man is a reliable witness, and other people hold him to be a reliable witness, and they're also reliable, this is a good person to rely on. Let's go back to Imam Bukhari, who we mentioned in the first part of the program. Now, Imam Bukhari was so strict about this that he would go and take a testimony from somebody and then compare it to other testimonies, but especially he would find out about the person himself. Was he reliable? So in one case, he traveled for months just to get a story or hadith from the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. And when he found the man who supposedly gives this story to other people, they said, we got it from this man. And he went to the man, and when he got there, he found this man is calling some animals up with an empty bucket. Come on, animals, look here, look here, look here. And he said, you don't have anything in it. He said, yeah, but they don't know that. So he just left and didn't ask him anything. He rejected this man's testimony, even though he didn't. Now you might say, well, then he just did the same thing. He didn't even check it out. No, he did. What he checked out was very verifiable. This man is deceiving these animals. If he'll deceive the animals, he might deceive us. I'm not going to take it. Might have been a true thing that he said, but I will get it from another source, not him.
SubhanAllah.
This is why in the science of hadith we find that a hadith is rated as unacceptable, yet over here we find the same hadith and it's acceptable. Why? Because it's not the content or matan of the hadith that we're talking about, it is the chain of narrators. Do you accept this hadith? It says almost exactly the same word as this one. No, this is considered fabricated. But this is considered authentic. And they don't really have that much difference, few words difference. They're not rejecting the content. They're rejecting the one who brought it, the way it got to you. So that because if you do that, then if this person's name pops up in another chain over here, we're going to drop that one too. This helps us to have absolute confidence in it. Verify. But when it's verified, don't keep doubting it anymore.
Right. Now, how does this relate to the Muslim's relationship with Allah? Because there's people who, they'll say, well, I'm not really following the religion because I'm trying to get this thing, this job, or this degree, or whatever. So how does trust and doubt and certainty relate to Allah?
I think this is a tough topic you could go on and on with and carry on in other shows, but let me give you one example, and I think this will help the viewers. There is something that anybody could do right this minute without any doubt about it. That's your own heart. You own it. It's yours. You can do whatever you want to with it right this second. So here's a test for you. Clean it out. Remove everything. And then in your heart, don't even move your mouth. Just say, oh God, if you exist, guide me to truth. I did exactly that in July of 1991 with my head on the ground, supposing that maybe there's a God, maybe there's not, even though I'd been a Christian preacher, even though I'd been out here doing missionary work in Mexico, even though I was a music minister, even though I had all this background with religion, and so still I was ready to take it to the extent maybe there's not even a God. But if there is, I'm only saying it in my heart anyway, nobody knows what I'm saying. Oh God, if you exist, guide me. And then I just relax. Now you know me to be one who is able to pontificate. I am able to dialogue, talk, go on ad infinitum. Everybody knows that about me. But on that occasion, those were the only words I had. Guide me. Nothing else came in my brain or my heart. That's all I asked for. When I raised up my head, I looked around me. I was waiting to see some big thing happen. If there's a God, let there be an earthquake. Let there be the sky cracking open. Let this cleft asunder. Let there be angels coming down and music and harps and da-da-da-da-da-da-da. There was nothing. It was the same exact day that it was a few minutes ago. But suddenly I could see inside myself, as I had never seen before, that the best thing for me to do in all cases is always to go back to this simple thing. That is to remove everything and start from the beginning. And I had that confidence immediately that what that was because I asked Him to guide me. And that was the first step of guidance, is to realize that it's all about me and Him. If I want the guidance, it's there. And you can do the same thing right now. Omar, you can do it. Anybody can do that. Just open up your heart and say, God, guide me. But if you say, no, I'm not going to do that, because then you're doing what we just said about a prejudice. Mm-hmm. But if you said, well, I've got nothing to lose, let me do that, but you're holding a conviction in your mind while you're doing it, you're not being honest.
Right.
Remove any conviction. You're not a Buddhist. You're not a Christian. You're not a Muslim. You're just a human being with no idea, and saying, God, if you exist, take over my life and guide me. Show me something. You show me something. It means something to me. Let me see something that I'll understand. And I've never seen it fail in those 20 years. And I've watched thousands of people come to Islam on that same advice I'm giving you right now, right this minute. If you do that, you will find the answer. That's it.
Well, Sheikh, I think you've given a lot of advice to our viewers today, but we have about a minute left if you want to give just a closing thoughts to our viewers.
Allah tells us in His Quran, which is the message to the human beings that He created. If you want to know what your purpose is in this life, you look to it, because He'll tell you. Many of us are searching through our whole life trying to find our purpose, but the answer is right there. Chapter 51, verse 56. وَمَا خَلَقْتُ الْجِنَّ وَالْإِنسَ إِلَّا لِيَعْبُدُونَ. He's told us clearly, He did not create jinn and mankind except for one purpose, to worship Him without partners. So in your worship, remember, He's the only God. That's my advice.
That's good advice. But unfortunately, that's all the time we have for us today. So we thank you for being with us, Sheikh. And we would like to encourage our audience to make sure they catch us next time here on Closing the Gap. Until then, I'm your host, Omar Dunlap, wishing you peace. Assalamu alaikum.
O youth, tear upon the core of blasphemy. Follow your prophet, and on evil make a victory. Let our righteousness be a role model to our children, making new generations of believers decently upbringing, with parents as an example. As gems we shape them, fearing only Allah, devoting our lives for Him.